The right to fair compensation and transparency in land acquisition, Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act, 2013. The first schedule. See Section 30 subsection 2. Compensation for landowners. The following components shall constitute the minimum compensation package to be given to those whose land is acquired and to tenants referred to in Clause C of Section 3 in a proportion to be decided by the appropriate government. 1. Market value of land. To be determined as provided under Section 26. 2. Factor by which the market value is to be multiplied in the case of rural areas. Manner of determination of value is 1 to 2 based on the distance of project from urban area, as may be notified by the appropriate government. 3. Factor by which the market value is to be multiplied in the case of urban areas. Manner of determination of value is 1. 4. Value of assets attached to land or building. Manner of determination of value is to be determined as provided under Section 29. 5. Solatium. Manner of determination of value is equivalent to 100% of the market value of land mentioned against serial number 1 multiplied by the factor specified against serial number 2 for rural areas or serial number 3 for urban areas plus value of assets attached to land or building against serial number 4 under column 2. 6. Final award in rural areas. Manner of determination of value is market value of land mentioned against serial number 1 multiplied by the factor specified against serial number 2 plus value of assets attached to land or building mentioned against serial number 4 under column 2 plus solatium mentioned against serial number 5 under column 2. 7. Final award in urban areas. Manner of determination of value is market value of land mentioned against serial number 1 multiplied by the factor specified against serial number 3 plus value of assets attached to land or building mentioned against serial number 4 under column 2 plus solatium mentioned against serial number 5 under column 2. 8. Other component, if any, to be include. The second schedule. See Section 31 subsection 1, Section 38 subsection 1 and Section 105 subsection 3. Elements of rehabilitation and resettlement entitlements for all the affected families. Both landowners and the families whose livelihood is primarily dependent on land acquired in addition to those provided in the first schedule. 1. Provision of housing units. In case of displacement. Entitlement or provision 1. If a house is lost in rural areas, a constructed house shall be provided as per the Indira Awas Yojana specifications. If a house is lost in urban areas, a constructed house shall be provided, which will be not less than 50 square MTS in plinth area. 2. The benefits listed above shall also be extended to any affected family which is without homestead land and which has been residing in the area continuously for a period of not less than 3 years preceding the date of notification of the affected area and which has been involuntarily displaced from such area. Provided that any such family in urban areas which opts not to take the house offered, shall get a one-time financial assistance for house construction, which shall not be less than 1,50,000 rupees. Provided further that if any affected family in rural areas so prefers, the equivalent cost of the house may be offered in lieu of the constructed house. Provided also that no family affected by acquisition shall be given more than one house under the provisions of this Act. Explanation: the houses in urban area may, if necessary, be provided in multi-storied building complexes. 2. Land for land, entitlement or provision in the case of irrigation project, as far as possible and in lieu of compensation to be paid for land acquired. Each affected family owning agricultural land in the affected area and whose land has been acquired or lost, or who has, as a consequence of the acquisition or loss of land, been reduced to the status of a marginal farmer or landless, shall be allotted, in the name of each person included in the records of rights with regard to the affected family, a minimum of 1 acre of land in the command area of the project for which the land is acquired. Provided that in every project those persons losing land and belonging to the scheduled castes or the scheduled tribes will be provided land equivalent to land acquired at 2 1/2 acres, whichever is lower. 3. Offer for developed land. Entitlement or provision in case the land is acquired for urbanization purposes, 20% of the developed land will be reserved and offered to land-owning project-affected families in proportion to the area of their land acquired and at a price equal to the cost of acquisition and the cost of development. Provided that in case the land-owning project-affected family wishes to avail of this offer, an equivalent amount will be deducted from the land acquisition compensation package payable to it. 4. Choice of annuity or employment. Entitlement or provision. The appropriate government shall ensure that the affected families are provided with the following options. A. Where jobs are created through the project, after providing suitable training and skill development in the required field. Make provision for employment at a rate not lower than the minimum wages provided for in any other law for the time being in force. 2. At least one member per affected family in the project, or arrange for a job in such other project as may be required, or B. One-time payment of 5 lakhs rupees per affected family, or C. Annuity policies that shall pay not less than 2,000 rupees per month per family for 20 years, with appropriate indexation to the consumer price index for agricultural laborers. 5. Subsistence grant for displaced families for a period of 1 year. Entitlement or provision. Each affected family which is displaced from the land acquired shall be given a monthly subsistence allowance equivalent to 3,000 rupees per month for a period of 1 year from the date of award. In addition to this amount, the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes displaced from scheduled areas shall receive an amount equivalent to 50,000 rupees. In case of displacement from the scheduled areas, as far as possible, the affected families shall be relocated in a similar ecological zone, so as to preserve the economic opportunities, language, culture and community life of the tribal communities. 6. Transportation cost for displaced families. Entitlement or provision. Each affected family which is displaced shall get a one-time financial assistance of 50,000 rupees as transportation cost for shifting of the family, building materials, belongings and cattle. 7. Cattle shed, petty shops cost. Entitlement or provision. Each affected family having cattle or having a petty shop shall get one-time financial assistance of such amount as the appropriate government may, by notification, specify, subject to a minimum of 25,000 rupees for construction of cattle shed or petty shop as the case may be. 8. One-time grant to artisan, small traders and certain others. Entitlement or provision. Each affected family of an artisan, small trader or self-employed person or an affected family which owned non-agricultural land or commercial, industrial or institutional structure in the affected area, and which has been involuntarily displaced from the affected area due to land acquisition, shall get one-time financial assistance of such amount as the appropriate government may, by notification, specify, subject to a minimum of 25,000 rupees. 9. Fishing rights. Entitlement or provision. In cases of irrigation or hydel projects, the affected families may be allowed fishing rights in the reservoirs, in such manner as may be prescribed by the appropriate government. 10. One-time resettlement allowance. Entitlement or provision. Each affected family shall be given a one-time resettlement allowance of 50,000 rupees only. 11. Stamp duty and registration fee. Entitlement or provision. 1. The stamp duty and other fees payable for registration of the land or house allotted to the affected families shall be borne by the requiring body. 2. The land for house allotted to the affected families shall be free from all encumbrances. 3. The land or house allotted may be in the joint names of wife and husband of the affected family. The third schedule. See Section 32, Section 38 subsection 1 and Section 105 subsection 3. Provision of infrastructural amenities for resettlement of populations. The following infrastructural facilities and basic minimum amenities are to be provided at the cost of the requisitioning authority to ensure that the resettled population in the new village or colony can secure for themselves a reasonable standard of community life and can attempt to minimize the trauma involved in displacement. A reasonably habitable and planned settlement would have, as a minimum, the following facilities and resources, as appropriate. 1. Roads within the resettled villages and an all-weather road linked to the nearest Pakka road, passages and easement rights for all the resettled families be adequately arranged. 2. Proper drainage as well as sanitation plans executed before physical resettlement. 3. One or more assured sources of safe drinking water for each family as per the norms prescribed by the Government of India. 4. Provision of drinking water for cattle. 5. Grazing land as per proportion acceptable in the state. 6. A reasonable number of fair price shops. 7. Panchayat ghars, as appropriate. 8. Village level post offices, as appropriate, with facilities for opening saving accounts. 9. Appropriate seed cum fertilizer storage facility if needed. 10. Efforts must be made to provide basic irrigation facilities to the agricultural land allocated to the resettled families if not from the irrigation project, then by developing a cooperative or under some government scheme or special assistance. 11. All new villages established for resettlement of the displaced persons shall be provided with suitable transport facility which must include public transport facilities through local bus services with the nearby growth centers, urban localities. 12. Burial or cremation ground, depending on the caste communities at the site and their practices. 13. Facilities for sanitation, including individual toilet points. 14. Individual single electric connections, for each household and for public lighting. 15. Anganwadis providing child and mother supplemental nutritional services. 16. School as per the provisions of the Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act, 2009. 17. Sub-health center within 2 km range. 18. Primary health center as prescribed by the Government of India. 19. Playground for children. 20. One community center for every 100 families. 21. Places of worship and chopal, tree platform for every 50 families for community assembly, of numbers and dimensions consonant with the affected area. 22. Separate land must be earmarked for traditional tribal institutions. 23. The forest dweller families must be provided, where possible, with their forest rights on non-timber forest produce and common property resources, if available close to the new place of settlement and, in case any such family can continue their access or entry to such forest or common property in the area close to the place of eviction, they must continue to enjoy their earlier rights to the aforesaid sources of livelihood. 24. Appropriate security arrangements must be provided for the settlement, if needed. 25. Veterinary Service Center as per norms.